Monsanto. You remember them, right? They were voted the most evil corporation in the world several times over, yet we don't hear anything about them now. What happened? Did they complete the evil? Did they retire? All evil wrapped up? No, not so much. I'm Lee Camp. Welcome to the most censored news. Monsanto was one of the most hated and evil companies in America. There were protests just a few years ago attracting hundreds of thousands into the streets, which is not easy to do. To get that many people off their asses, there normally has to be a Spice Girls reunion tour or a sign that says free weed. The most shocking thing was at Monsanto's lowest point, even the mainstream media started revealing the truth. Here's from a Reuters article 10 years ago. Monsanto's genetically modified seeds and the resulting crops have damaged public and environmental health and destroyed traditional farming communities all over the world. Its seeds have been linked to cancer and birth defects, and its array of chemicals and GMOs promotes pesticide resistance, spreads gene contaminants, pollutes soil and groundwater, and creates a global monoculture monopoly that presents a significant threat to the global food supply. Well, I mean, come on, who doesn't present a significant risk to the global food supply? I mean, my Uncle Tommy certainly does. You should see what he can do to a lunch buffet. When he's done with a calzone, they can only identify it by the dental records. Besides all the cancer and death Monsanto has caused with their Roundup herbicide, allegedly. Right. They have also been blamed for causing hundreds of thousands of farmer suicides in India. Yes, 300,000 Indian farmers killed themselves over the past few decades, and whether Monsanto is the main culprit or it was in a tag team, mutually murderous relationship with extreme drought, it's tough to say. But it doesn't really matter. Point is, Monsanto was a factor in killing one Indian farmer every 47 minutes. Long story short, Monsanto was super evil. They made Faces of Death 3 look like the Prairie Home Companion evil. So what happened? Well, they were sold to Bayer Pharma in 2018 for $63 billion. Bayer then quickly dropped the name Monsanto, which had become more synonymous with cancer and death than the short-lived Bill and Ted's Excellent cereal made with real asbestos. Apparently, asbestos was a cheaper ingredient than marshmallows. The sad thing is, in our capitalist wonderland, it's so fucked up that there for a minute, you weren't sure if I was kidding or not. Now that it's been sold to Bayer, few talk about Monsanto anymore, but the crimes, they have not gone away. They don't stop just because you dropped the dirty, dirty name. Just last month, we learned documents show how Monsanto and Bayer led attacks on scientists and journalists. Why was Monsanto attacking them? Because those scientists and journalists were studying and reporting on how glyphosate, Roundup herbicide, causes cancer. In the lead up to the International Agency for Research on Cancer's 2015 report classifying glyphosate as a probable human carcinogen, Monsanto rolled out an unprecedented and harsh strategy to discredit experts. As Jonathan Samet, dean of the Colorado School of Public Health, described, Monsanto's attacks, he said, amounted to an attack on expert review itself. Le Monde described Monsanto's coordinated attack on IARC as an effort to destroy the United Nations Cancer Agency by any means possible. Come on, who hasn't tried to destroy cancer researchers? My Uncle Tommy, no, actually, even he's not that bad. No, seriously, it's horrific. But what I don't understand is why didn't they just honeypot those scientists? I mean, cancer research and can't possibly be unbuttoning a lot of trousers. If you know what I'm saying. That's horrible. That's actually strike that joke from the record. Just, Your Honor. Point being, Monsanto, now Bayer, were passing out their cancer juice all over the world, then trying to destroy the people telling everyone it causes cancer. And Bayer only stopped residential sales of Roundup herbicide this year. They bought Monsanto in 2018. 5 years to stop spraying people in the face with cancer? How is that okay? If it was revealed I was stabbing people to death, I couldn't be like, okay, I will stop stabbing because that is the right thing to do. But I won't be able to stop until 5 years from now, and I'll only stop stabbing people at residential homes. I plan to keep slaughtering folks at industrial farms. We're all cool with that, right? I'm a good person. I'm a good person. Luckily, many people have had success suing Bayer for the cancer they or their family members got from Roundup. In fact, Bayer has had to spend up to $16 billion paying Monsanto's victims, causing many to call their purchase of Monsanto the worst deal ever. Bayer's market cap has dropped so much, it's now close to the total cost it paid for Monsanto. And it's not done. There are still 30,000 Roundup cases left and counting. On top of that, Bayer is getting ready to pay a settlement to each family of the 300,000 Indian farmers who have taken their own lives, partially due to Monsanto's evil seeds. I'm just kidding. That would be insane, wouldn't it? Could you imagine Bayer paying for all the murder they and Monsanto caused? Oh my God, that would be the day. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Not only is Bayer not paying for the harm done to those farmers, they're currently suing American farmers, trying to destroy those lives as well. Just the other day, it was reported Bayer is suing Missouri farmers for illegally spraying the herbicide dicamba and for saving and replanting seeds. In order to understand what that means, you have to know why Bayer doesn't want people reusing seeds. Bayer/Monsanto created GMO seeds that do special things, such as withstanding toxic herbicide that can then be sprayed all over the fucking place without hurting that particular crop, but decimating the rest of the environment around it. But the way farming has worked since way back when humans didn't even have the wheel yet and therefore had their automobiles mounted on 4 hedgehogs, the way farming has worked forever has been to replant the seeds from the plant you just grew. But if people did that with the special Monsanto seeds, they wouldn't have a monopoly on their seeds anymore. So they came up with a plan, making it illegal to save and plant their seeds and also making it a form of a plant that doesn't regenerate. But not only is this unethical to begin with, it also means they often test the DNA of a plant and decide whether it was from their seeds or not. Well, sometimes seeds get mixed up. Seeds are small. Seeds are like that big. Seeds are like that big. So sometimes seeds get mixed up. Sometimes farmers don't know which kind they're planting, but suddenly they're getting sued to death by a massive corporation. The lawsuit charges the farmers with patent infringement, breach of contract, tortious interference with business expectancies, and negligence. I only understood 3 of those words, which is kinda how a gigantic corporation scares the shit out of the people they're suing. If this all sounds quite evil, that's because it is. But you can't say we couldn't have seen this coming. You know the expression, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it's a duck? Well, I have a new one. If it's been a duck for 100 years, then you shouldn't act surprised when it acts like a duck. You probably know some of the evil history of Monsanto. They've been involved in the production of toxic chemicals for 100 years, including DDT, which was banned for harming the environment, and Agent Orange in Vietnam, which was intended to harm the environment. It ultimately did far more than just kill the trees. It killed a lot of people, including US soldiers. Monsanto was also the only manufacturer of white phosphorus for military use. White phosphorus is kind of like napalm. It burns as hot as the sun and sticks to everything like buildings, clothes, and skin. So it creates the most horrible kind of indiscriminate death and destruction, which used to be Monsanto's motto. Monsanto, the most horrible kind of death and destruction. Patent pending. That's a little taste of the history and horror show known as Monsanto. And no wonder they found a soulmate in Bayer. They're like 2 peas in a pod. Genetically modified peas that don't rot, but do cause stomach cancer when you eat more than 5 in any given year. So what is Bayer's history, you might ask? You might You might want to send the children out of the room for this one. Bayer and their original parent company, IG Farben, were German companies that used slave labor in factories it built in Nazi concentration camps, most notably Auschwitz. That's right, it wasn't a reluctant participant in the Holocaust. It was the company planning the shit. If Hitler were Darth Vader, then Bayer and IG Farben would be Darth Vader's architect with blueprints under his arm going, Mr. Vader, I found a way that we can kill more innocent people quicker if we just knock down this wall here and make more space for the firing squad. And aesthetically, I was never a fan of that wall anyway, especially not the baby blue wallpaper. Kind of goes against brand. By 1943, almost half of IG Farben's 330,000 strong workforce, consisting of slave labor or conscripts, including 30,000 Auschwitz prisoners. But it wasn't enough to just plan Auschwitz and use the prisoners as slave labor. Bayer also wanted to experiment on them. Helmuth Vetter, an Auschwitz camp physician, SS captain, and employee of the Bayer Group within IG Farben, conducted medical experiments on inmates at Auschwitz. In one study, he paid to have 150 prisoners sent to him for experimentation of an anesthetic. Later, a Bayer employee wrote to the Auschwitz commandant, "The transport of 150 women arrived in good condition. However, we were unable to obtain conclusive results because they died during experiments. We would kindly request that you send us another group of women, the same number, at the same price." God. Okay, so when a true catastrophic crime against humanity like that plays out, I guess afterwards, two prevalent questions are, were the perpetrators found out, and were they punished for the rest of their fucking lives? To the first question, yes, the perpetrators were known. After the war was over, several Bayer employees appeared in the IG Farben trial, which was part of the Nuremberg trials. Among them was Fritz Termeer, who helped to plan the Auschwitz facilities where medical experimentation had been conducted. Termeer was sentenced to 7 years. Okay, great. Well, not long enough for my taste. Also, I think his cell should have been filled with hundreds of millions of bedbugs, ringworms, and that kind of parasite that lives in your urethra. But we can't always get everything we want, right? So he serves 7 years and then lives out his days under a bridge, eating boiled boat leather and being spat on, right? That's how that ends, right? Not exactly. He only served 2.5 years because he was released in 1950 for good behavior. He was elected to Bayer AG's supervisory board in 1956, a position he retained until 1964. They put him back on the fucking board. He was getting a paycheck and a parking spot and a corner office after being convicted of, quote, mass murder and enslavement. Man, that is some goddamn company loyalty. I worked for a company once. When I said I was leaving to take another job, they canceled my key card and dumped the contents of my desk in the alley out back. And I didn't commit any mass murder. Like, zero. Point being, Bayer and Monsanto were the worst of the worst in their early years. They were the worst of the worst in their middle years. And they're the worst of the worst now. Even though Monsanto, voted the most evil company in the world, has been folded into Bayer several years ago, does not mean the evil stops. It just goes by another name. And in our capitalist profit over all else system, these sociopathic corporations control the levers of power. So our country, along with Bayer's home country of Germany, cannot ever guide humanity on the revolutionary, sustainable path we desperately need. But there is one positive out of all this. Monsanto was founded in 1901 by John Queeny, who named it after his wife, Olga Mendez Monsanto, the proud matriarch of a Sephardic Jewish family. So in 2018, that Jewish named and founded corporation joined together with a company involved in some of the worst crimes of the Holocaust. Under capitalism, all forms of friendship are possible. That's your most censored news for this week. I hope you will subscribe at youtube.com/behind the headlines and join us on Patreon, Behind the Headlines. Also, you can join the free email list to find out about these videos by texting the word censored to 33777. Keep fighting.